The narcissist uses telepathy against you. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. I started writing about narcissism and psychopathy, the various facets that relate to it, the interactions, the manipulations, explaining so many different aspects of it. Many years ago, nearly 9 years ago, I started my blog, Knowing the Narcissist, and shortly thereafter, I established a YouTube channel, Knowing the Narcissist, which I then parked and created a new one, which became operational towards the end of 2020, which is Knowing the Narcissist, the Ultra. I write about narcissism and psychopathy. I talk about narcissism and psychopathy. I've written many books, which you can find on Amazon and in the Knowledge Vault. I've created over 200 products, which aid you with your understanding in relation to narcissism, also to be found in the Knowledge Vault. This considerable body of work was created for a number of reasons, but primarily as part of the creation of my legacy. As I've made clear on previous occasions, death is a threat to my control, and simply by having a legacy that will live on after my expiration enables me to nullify that threat to control. I'm going to be around for a long time yet. Nevertheless, it is important as the Ultra to plan for such an occurrence, and thus I have. Another aspect as to why I create this material is as part of that extension of the legacy, which involves people knowing about my work, accessing my work and sharing my work, is to address the fact that there is much information that is missing about my kind and misinformation that is put out there. This offends my need for control. The fact that information is missing about me and my kind, and that it's also, in some instances, incorrect information, offends my need for control, and thus the provision of correct information and identifying instances of incorrect information being purveyed and addressing it allows me to nullify that threat to control. There are various reasons why this information is missing, and there are various reasons why misinformation is put out there. I'm not going to go into that now. That is for a separate occasion, and has been addressed in part by my series No Good Advice. But my attention was brought to a video that had been created earlier this year by a channel called Subliminal World. And the video is entitled Stop Narcissist Dark Forces Telepathy. It explains when you go no contact with a narcissist, they will try anything to get to your energy or to prevent you from healing. So they can get to you through telepathy. And you may think these thoughts are your own. This subliminal will protect you from them doing so, and also bring awareness to your own mind and thoughts. Well, let's pause and analyse that observation. When you go no contact with a narcissist, they will try anything to get to your energy. Well, it isn't a case of us getting to your energy, it's a case of us controlling you, getting to your fuel, character traits, and residual benefits. But to be fair, one could suggest that energy is a form of fuel. Your emotional response, predicated by our activity, is fuel. And that could be, as from an alternative perspective, to be described as energy. It's often the case that narcissists are referred to as energy vampires, sucking the energy out of other people. Now, it's usually the case that when we draw fuel from you, you don't necessarily feel drained as a consequence of that because you're generating that emotional response, whether it's making us a cup of tea or going, ooh, baby, that feels good when we're in bed with you. And therefore, you're creating that emotional response anyway. Of course, It is fair to say that people do feel drained by the narcissist as a consequence of the incessant abuses that we place against you as part of our need to control. But we don't actually absorb your energy. There isn't an actual energy transference that's taking place. It's more to do with the fact that what's actually happening is that we are drinking of your fuel, which you are providing. Nevertheless, there are those that might see it as some form of energy transference, which, okay, is fair enough. So we want to control you. We want to get your fuel, and of course no contact gets in the way of that. But what about preventing you from healing? Well, it isn't a stated aim of the narcissist to prevent you from healing, but rather a collateral consequence of the pursuit of the prime aims, that we hinder your healing by hoovering you and getting you back under control. So it isn't necessarily an explicit aim. It isn't the case that the narcissist will try anything to prevent you from healing, but rather your healing may well be waylaid by the fact that the narcissist has to pursue the prime aims from you. Remember, of course, that the narcissist can still get the prime aims without actually having an interaction with you. For instance, the narcissist can be fueled elsewhere, ditto character traits and residual benefits. Thus, 3 of the residual benefits the narcissist may not necessarily need to obtain from you, but the narcissist does need to get that control in relation to you. And for those of you that have studied the 3 interactions with the narcissist, you will note that if the narcissist cannot obtain a control directly, it still remains the case that it can be done indirectly or through withdrawal. Therefore, even though you go no contact with a narcissist, the narcissist can still gain control over you in accordance with the principle of flectes and aqueos, superos acherontum vivo, roughly translated meaning, if I cannot move heaven, I can raise hell. If I cannot control you directly in your world, my narcissism allows me the creation of an alternative world where I gain that control. Thus, with the second and third assertion of control, you have no interaction with us, but we get the control that we crave. But what about this individual suggestion that we can get to you through telepathy? The short answer to that is no, we can't. We do not use telepathy. We're very good, particularly the more evolved of our kind, at reading people. We're able to pick up on the signals that you give out. I've spoken about that in my psychopathy series. We know certain things, consciously and subconsciously, to look for in relation to our victims as part of identifying you and interpreting your behaviours vis-à-vis the matrix of control. Thus we become skilled, particularly the more evolved of our kind, at reading you. But it's not telepathy. We're not reading your minds. It might give the appearance of doing so, but it's not actually the case. Nor are we inserting thoughts in your head. Whilst there will be those of my kind that believe that they can as a consequence of their magical thinking, we cannot. Those that believe that we have the ability to control your mind through telepathy are either unaware narcissists asserting that as part of their grandiosity, or victims who are afflicted by their own emotional thinking, who attribute their own problems with their minds to that of being mind controlled by the narcissist. There are ways, of course, that the narcissist can affect the mind of a victim. Various abuses do that. Wearing you down, indoctrinating you, the gaslighting, the revision of history, the withdrawal, the alienation, the insults, etc. All of that can impact upon the state of your mind as we play those mind games with you. But they're not driven by telepathy. And it's important to make such things clear, that telepathy is not something that's used by the narcissist. And to suggest that you need to have some form of protection from that is utter nonsense. This particular channel suggests that there is an affirmation that ought to be utilised, explaining, my mind accepts these affirmations extremely well as I sleep. I am in control of my own thoughts and emotions, and I am shielded from any negative energy. I am confident in my own worth and immune to any attempts to manipulate or harm me telepathically. I explain again, the narcissist does not attempt to manipulate or harm you telepathically. That simply doesn't happen. There are no psychic attacks by the narcissist. That is a misconception. It then also provides a chant and a prayer. From narcissists I break free, their telepathy I won't let it be. With inner strength and power within, my thoughts protected a shield so thin. I am in control, my mind is mine, no intrusion from their twisted design. Boundaries strong, their influence denied, my energy protected, my spirit amplified. With every word, with every rhyme, I block their telepathy one step at a time. I reclaim my power, my thoughts are my own, no narcissistic energy shall be sown. So mote it be, this chant I say, protecting my mind come what may, I am strong, I am free, no telepathy from narcissists shall reach me, and so it is. Well, and so it is indeed, because narcissists don't use telepathy. You don't need a chant, you don't need a prayer, and you certainly don't need to be paying £15 or £30 to this particular individual for subliminals to protect you in relation to that. What you're far better doing is understanding how narcissists behave, what the manipulations are, and how you're affected by the behaviors in relation to your emotional thinking. It's channels such as this that suggest that the narcissist uses telepathy that can cause individuals to completely misconceive the way that the narcissist behaves, can result in them spending money that would be better spent elsewhere, and cause them to become fearful that the narcissist uses telepathy. Be assured, I am the all-conquering ultra, with many, many victims, utilising a smorgasbord of manipulations. And whilst I have many talents, many linked to my narcissism and psychopathy, I'm not telepathic. I know the way people think, because they often think in very similar ways to other people. People are predictable. I know that as a consequence of studying people's behaviours and understanding the way that they respond with regard to certain situations. I'm designed to understand that to enable me to get my victims more readily. I'm also trained that way. But it isn't telepathy. It is the application of intellect, memory, and understanding the way that human beings respond in certain situations. I'm able to make suggestions to people. I'm able to subtly influence them. But I'm not able to attack them psychically. I'm not able to insert thoughts in their head. And it is bunkum such as this which needs to be called out to ensure that proper information is provided to people in relation to the issue of narcissists and what we can and cannot do. This is part of what this channel is about, providing you with the accurate information and debunking the myths. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.